was, I didn't know the people. I didn't know Charlie Band. I certainly didn't know his dad. And I had seen a number of those movies, and I thought they were very resourceful because they were obviously done on a budget, and they were completed. And you have to respect that. And the more you know about the business, the more you realize that that's very difficult to do, no matter what the budget. My father was a dentist in the Air Force and then later in Indiana. And when I was a little kid, about as tall as a ghoulie, I was watching Bonanza with my father. And my father said, I'm going to go to Hollywood and write these things. And being 5 years old, I'm like, oh, you should do that. We moved to Los Angeles, and my father got into screenwriting, took a night course at Hollywood High, got into screenwriting, started writing Bonanzas, all the old westerns, High Chaparral, Laredo. His name's B.W. Sandefur. So I learned at his lap, basically, as he explored screenwriting as an alternate career to dentistry, which he found that he didn't like that much after going to school that long. Now, when I got into screenwriting, I, of course, was looking to do westerns, because as a kid, I liked the westerns. I followed everything my father wrote, and he wrote mostly westerns. And then the westerns went away. So I always had that in the back of my head, that I'd like to do a western. I didn't hear about Ghost Town. My agent called me and said that someone was interested in a screenplay that my father and I had written together on a lark, which I still would like to see produced. It's a low-budget, high-impact, kind of like Christine for adults, but that's another story. At the time, it was called Nightcrawler. I got a call from my agent that said a lady had read it and wanted to pursue optioning this property. I went to meet her. Her name was Deborah Dion. She said, look, Nightcrawler, I love this script. I read it twice. I enjoy reading it. It's just great stuff. It's not really what we do. But I do have a shoot date on another project. Are you interested in polishing a script? And then maybe we can get to the other thing and be Nightcrawler. And I said, well, sure. And she said, well, we have this thing called Ghost Town. She explained the premise. It sounded fun. It crossed over with older interests of mine and a chance to impress my mother. And I thought, yeah, I'll do it. So she said, well, we need it kind of quick. You know, how long would it take? And I said, well, it'll take like everything else as long as I have. So that wasn't long. It was a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. I can't remember exactly. And she gave me the screenplay that they were working from. It had a credit on it. It had a name on it, David Schmoller, who apparently has written it. He wrote a treatment for it. He didn't remember writing a screenplay. I never judged him based on that screenplay because it looked pretty patchy. And it looked like someone was throwing ideas while someone else was writing. And, you know, in the end, it had his name on it. I've written worse things and had them shot. But it was not something you could shoot. So I took that home, basically tossed it except for the bones, and just wrote fresh screenplay. I did have meetings prior to production with Tim Tennant, who was producing the show, and with Richard Governor / Richard McCarthy. In hindsight, looking back, I understand what they were up against, and I understand what the challenges were, and I understand what the stress level was. And at the time, I had just written a screenplay, short on sleep, probably hungover, and I had to go and talk to these guys. And we sat in a very dark, very hot, very unpleasant office. I don't know what it was. I remember it as like the worst place in the world to be. So we're sitting there, and for 2 hours they're telling me this stuff, and they're giving me notes on the script, and they're saying, well, couldn't we do this, and can we do this, because we've got this, and we've got a schedule, and we've got our day out of days, and this doesn't mesh up, and what you've written here is